This is FYI on your TV, brought to you by Hometown News. I'm Kathy Botham. I've got Helen McKay with me. Welcome to FYI, Helen.
Thank you. Welcome.
You've got quite an interesting story here that started just a month ago.
Yeah, a month ago.
Wow, and you've learned so much in the month. You found some medals, or somebody called you about your medals. I'll let you tell the story.
Well, on Ancestor.com, this fellow was inquiring, do you know William A. Blake? And I said, sure. And I have his medals, and I've had them for 14 years. And I'm thinking, okay, sure. And everything, with all the I's were dotted. And we met in Kingston. It was overwhelming. It was emotional. Mm-hmm. He was glad because as a military collector, he wanted them to go home. He found them on eBay in Australia.
Wow. So
my grandfather was in the war, the Battle of Fromelles, which is in France, and it was a bad war. It was 2 days of war, and it was a horrible war. There was the Australians with the British unit and the heavy military from the Germans, and it was over by daytime the next day, and on the 20th of 1916. So he went home injured, and he went through the line. He was so badly injured, he saw his brother Arthur, and his brother Arthur, they have a nickname, Will. Everybody was Will, and he called out to him. So that was the last time they saw each other. On the battlefield, and then he went home, and we never saw the medals, but we always had the certificate of honor.
And this is your great-grandfather's certificate of honor.
Yep, and it's framed, and I have the original, and that's a copy of it. And I thought, okay, well, then we did some more research through my aunt, my cousin in England, and then we found all this information. And then my cousin has all the pictures and stuff. So between her and me, we got a lot done. So we met Paul and his friend Shirley. Shirley was the one that went on Ancestor.com, contacted us. We exchanged. It was just a very emotional day.
I'll bet you. And I mean, you've done all this in a month.
Yep.
Yeah, you've done all this in a month.
And I mean, information that you have at your fingertips is all on Ancestor.com, and any military information, you have to be a veteran or part of that association. So it's hard to get, but you can keep digging. There is gold at the end.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I know you just got these, but do you know what the medals are
They're
for?
all given for the First War. And one's a Victoria Medal, one's the British War Medal, and the other one is a star. And then because he was near death, he got the Canadian Memorial Cross. It was given to his mother.
Wow.
And that meant that he was severely, severely hurt. Not everybody got that.
No.
And when that came, mother would put it in her desk and say, my son isn't coming home.
But he did.
He did, and he was 54 years old. When he died in London, Ontario, I found the grave. I did some research and went to see where he lived because I had photos and addresses. It's unbelievable, the information.
Well, technology now, you've got access to so much, you know.
It's right at your fingertips.
How long ago were they? 14 years ago?
14 years ago, they were in Paul's drawer. He was trying to find...
In Australia?
No, he was in Montreal, apparently.
Oh, okay.
And when he found them, he says, these have to go home. These have to go to their owner. And he couldn't find anything. There wasn't the research then. So his friend Shirley kept at it. And between the two of them, they discovered me, which was kind of cool.
Helen McKay of Smith Falls.
And of course, McKay wouldn't go with Blake.
Right.
But they wouldn't know that the woman in the bottom picture is my grandmother.
On your mom's side or your dad's side?
My mom's side. And she died of TB because he brought it home.
Oh, wow.
He brought it home from the war. His first daughter, Edith, died of TB at 21. My grandmother Joyce died at 21 with TB too. She had married and had a baby, my mother. Mm-hmm. And you cannot raise a child when you have TB. She had to go to the sanitarium, which is what everybody did.
Everybody did, yeah.
There was no cure. Now there is. Mm-hmm. Bacteria and everything's fixed now, but they can fix that.
Absolutely.
And I mean, it's different strain of TB, but he was buried alive, and many of the soldiers came home really ill, sick, not well, and he had to do something, so he did odd jobs, male person, which is an easy job. And then my grandmother gets married, has my mother, she dies, and my grandfather had to remarry. It was just like weird change.
And you've learned this in a month.
Oh, well, I've been over the years, I've been
Oh,
getting
okay.
pieces, getting more pieces.
But this just, that was the icing on the cake when you got the
the
medals.
medals, it was
Wow.
like, that is the best Christmas present ever.
Absolutely.
Because nobody knew
Absolutely.
where the medals were.
No, no. And you were saying earlier, too, you were worried it was a bit of a scam or something, too.
Well, you don't know
you
because...
don't know nowadays, yeah.
Well, nowadays people want a handout.
But there are good people in the world.
Oh, they're a very good world. I mean, I'm so proud of him because he is a collector of medals, and he found another person's photo, a soldier, and it went to he found its owner too. And it's his job, he says, to find these people because they need to go home back to their families.
That's right, that's right.
And with shadow boxes, we can display those and be proud of them,
Absolutely.
even if it isn't Remembrance Day.
No, you don't have to remember, it doesn't have to be Remembrance Day for sure. For
And
sure.
I mean, you can
Stories
go on
need to be told.
online. I even went to William's house where the family was raised in London, Ontario, and the fellow opened the door to me. He was very friendly. He was the 5th owner of the house. He let me go through the house. He described what was changed, what wasn't changed. And I have pictures of Joyce, my grandmother and grandfather in that bottom picture, getting married in the backyard.
Really?
Because it would be a church wedding and a meal at the house.
Yeah,
In
yeah.
the 1940s.
It means
right?
a lot to be standing in the actual place and the actual home.
It was scary because it was like, whoa, this is too close to home.
Yeah.
So I encourage people, if you can get out there, name, number, Google. If you can't go on ancestor.com, you can go 14 days trial, which will get you in there.
Yeah.
And it's only $32, I think, for 6 months.
Yeah.
But it'll get you some more digging. And in town, if you go to that church outside of Smith Falls, the one on the North Gore Highway, you can go in there and get all kinds of information on his story, on local area people and your ancestors.
Oh, wow.
Because there's, and the library is very good for that too.
Yeah, the Heritage House Museum as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, they've got the archives and everything like that.
And that's
too.
where I did my other side of the family.
Yeah, yeah.
But to get the medals, I have never had medals. Most of my side, McKays, didn't go to war flat-footed. They weren't picked, right? In the Second War. But the First War, he was only like, it was 1910, 1911. He was 18 years old.
Wow.
I couldn't go at 18 years old into war.
Oh, I couldn't imagine. I know, eh? Yes.
Not today.
I know. But these stories need to be told, so I'm glad you came here today and tell everybody here.
Oh, it was an honor. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much for bringing these here today and sharing these stories. And it doesn't have to be November 11th to remember our veterans. The stories should be told every day of the
They
year.
live on.
They do. Absolutely.
And I encourage everybody to get out there and start digging.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And once you get hooked. Yeah,
I think that's the thing. One leads to another.
yeah.
Then I go to the graveyards, take pictures, and then I'm asking more questions. Well, where did they live? Why did they die?
Yeah.
And I mean, with the information you can get online, you just print it off and then you have proof of it.
Yeah.
And I mean, I didn't know he was discharged in Toronto, Ontario, till the other day. It's like, okay, my cousin had all the information. She emails it to me, you print it off.
Yeah.
And it's authentic. It's all dated and labeled. So
Yeah, and signed.
you just have to dig.
Yeah.
It's just mostly digging. But thank you, Kathy.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you for bringing this, Helen, and bringing this to our attention. And
Well, it was something I wanted other people to be encouraged.
yeah,
Because there's so much information out there we don't know.
absolutely.
He could have
Absolutely.
died, and it would have been end of story.
Yeah, that's right. And that would have been a shame.
I wouldn't
Look at
have
all
been
the-
born.
You wouldn't have been born. There you go.
No, but
The
thank
reason
you.
for being. Yes. Thank you for joining us today and telling us your story.
Thank you. It
This
was a
has been
pleasure.
wonderful.